Before we begin getting into the specifics of the techniques that we're going to use with the prong collar, there are a few words of caution that I just want to put out there for you guys. So there are some dogs who, when they are in a highly aroused state, react negatively to the prong collar. And when I say negatively, there are really two things that could happen. So one is we get some dogs who, when they're highly aroused and you give a little bit of a leash correction, have a tendency to redirect at their handler, meaning they might turn and nip at you or bite you. And it's often a very knee-jerk reflex, not something that they're highly conscious of. And it obviously is still dangerous and can hurt quite a bit. The other category of dogs who respond negatively are dogs with whom the prong collar actually tends to have the opposite effect of what we want. And when we use the prong collar and they're already in a somewhat aroused state, it actually just heightens that arousal and tends to stimulate them and heighten the aggression even more. And so with these dogs, we really have a couple options. With the dogs who simply redirect, we have two choices we can make. We could either not work them on the prong collar and choose to use a slip lead for this portion of the work, or we could continue to work them on a prong collar, but put a muzzle on them so that if they do have a little bit of a reflex towards redirection, they can't actually bite us. Because again, bear in mind, this is often not a choice the dog is making. They're not turning and trying to hurt you. It's just a reflexive response to that type of sensation. However, if you own the kind of dog that tends to get more aroused from the sensation of the prong collar, or if you discover that that happens as you're going through this week, then I would advise you to stop using a prong collar and to continue practicing the things I'm going to show you, but only with a slip lead. Because if your dog is getting more aroused from the prong collar corrections, simply putting a muzzle on them is not going to help. It's really a counterproductive process at that point, and it's not really going to be doing us or the dog any benefit. So again, just a word of caution, try to be aware if you have the kind of dog that is more prone to redirection when they're aroused, and if they get corrections, we definitely want to have safety precautions in place by use of a muzzle or maybe opting to not use a prong collar. And then the other is if you have a dog who the prong collar has the opposite effect of what we want, and instead of keeping them from losing their mind, it actually causes them to lose their mind, then those are dogs that we don't want to use the prong collar with for this work. You can still use it for your foundational work. You can use it for your place command, for your recall, for your basic leash walking if you know that you're not going to encounter any other dogs. But if you think there's a chance that you might encounter dogs, then please do not use the prong collar if you own that type of dog.